This is going to be a big update of all of my recent empties and declutters. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lara, or Lara Likes Mascara. I have been on a makeup no-buy for a long time now, at least a year, and I was on a low buy before that and a no buy before that. So part of the outcome of alternating between a makeup low buy and a makeup no buy is basically that not very much new makeup comes into your collection, and so you end up finishing a lot of products that are already in your collection because that is what you're focusing on, not new things coming in. And so every couple of months I like to do an update showing the recent products that I have managed to finish or pan, and also the products that I have decided it is time to declutter. This is a roundup of makeup, skincare, hair care, body care, everything. I tend to have more of an emphasis on makeup just because that's really my focus here on this channel. And also I'm a lot more interested in makeup than I am in hair care, for example. But today's update actually has quite a variety. I've got a bunch of skincare products and a bunch of hair care products that I recently finished, but that is pretty rare. Of course, there are quite a few makeup products that I have finally managed to get out of my collection. So a lot of stuff to discuss here today. Usually I start with the makeup and then I move on to skincare, but I feel like being a bit chaotic today, so I think I'm just going to grab in and see what I pull out. But I do feel like I should start with at least one makeup product, so let me show you this recent declutter and then we'll see where it takes me. This is no surprise, but it has been a long time coming. This is the collection palette. It's called Blush and Glow, and it's got 4 different shades. There is a highlighter, 2 powder blushes, and a bronzer. I used to love this palette, particularly this shade here. You can see that I do have quite significant pan, and I rolled this into my blush roulette this year. I will link that series here, but basically the goal of that project is to get use out of all of my blushes and see if there's any that I want to declutter because they aren't to my taste anymore. And that is what I found with this, that I just didn't love this shade anymore. I didn't really love any of these, but I felt like I hadn't gotten enough use out of the palette as a whole, particularly this bronzer. I realized that I did quite like, and I just hadn't gotten very much use out of it before this year. And so I challenged myself to hit pan on the bronzer, and then after that point I would declutter the palette, and it finally happened in this past month. Let me show you a close-up of that pan there. I debated keeping it because I do like that one shade, but because it is a whole palette and I knew that I wouldn't reach for the other 3 shades, it just doesn't really feel worth it. So I will be able to pass this on to someone else, but I am really glad that I was able to hit that goal and that I will at last be saying goodbye to this palette. And that's just one more product out of my collection that I don't love anymore, or 4 products out of my collection that I don't love anymore. It's open to interpretation, but this was a big declutter of the past month or 2. Let's see if I can find another makeup product. Ooh, yes. This is another one that had been a long time coming. This is the LYS concealer. Mine is in the shade LN3. It was a very good concealer. You can see that I scraped all the way around the sides. I really tried to get everything out. I also removed the stopper on this because I did really enjoy it and I wanted to make use of all of that product. This is a good shade on me, though I actually am finding that I'm preferring the concealer I'm using right now. I have the NYX Serum Concealer, and I find that even though it's called a serum concealer, I find it a bit thicker coverage than this one. This was very, very light coverage, and I find I like more medium coverage in a concealer. So that is it there. Really nice product, but probably won't buy it again because it's not the favorite concealer I've ever used. And I also, I want to try other products. So I'm glad to have that out of my collection. It is stunning packaging. I will miss this, but I did really enjoy this. I hope this update will continue in this vein where all the products I'm talking about, I have like good things to say, because a lot of times the products that I have in these videos, I'm like, oh man, I waited for this to leave my collection for so long and I can't believe it finally happened. But we're on a roll so far. Let's move on to something skincare. This, I don't have great things to say about, and I was a little bit disappointed by it, to be honest. This is the Inkey List Omega Water Cream. I was just watching a video about an hour ago while I was getting ready. It was Kelly Gooch's video, and she was talking about how this was her favorite moisturizer. Period. Her favorite product for pre-makeup application, and it works almost like a primer, and I just did not get the hype. I also had a friend recommend this to me, that's why I bought it. I got it during the Sephora sale this past spring, and it is a smaller size. This is 50 milliliters. I generally like the ones I use to be 100 milliliters, like the ordinary one that I love, and this, I don't know, I used it up so quickly. I remember I opened it on my trip to Montreal because I was about to run out of my other moisturizer, so I was like, I'll just bring my brand new one there. I opened it there, which was mid-June, and I finished it in July. It lasted 1 month. I know some people use tons of moisturizers and they go through millions, but like, to me, I shouldn't be finishing a moisturizer in 1 month. It's not like I was using a ton of it. Part of it was the like texture of it. It really does kind of feel like water, and it feels super, super thin. It's kind of hard to blend in, and so you need to use quite a bit of it because it is so thin. And I just didn't like that. I didn't like the texture. Like I found that when I would put it on my face, I would struggle to blend it in a way that I have never found for a moisturizer before. So I just didn't really love this. I wouldn't recommend it, and I won't be repurchasing it. This is the only Inkey List product I have ever tried, and honestly, I don't know if I will try any others. Let me know if you feel the same way about this, because I think that's an unpopular opinion, but I don't know. The texture, consistency, just wasn't for me. Let's do some more makeup products, because I can see how much of this is hair care, which is quite unusual for me. Let's do Lippies, because I've got a couple of them here, and one might be a bit of a surprise. So this is the NYX lipstick in Chaos. Now, if you're probably familiar with some of these products if you do watch my videos regularly, because this was in my lipstick project pan. I will link that series as well. So some of these things I have talked about in previous videos. You might know already that I did finish this. This was one that I opted not to dig in there and get the remaining product out because I simply did not like it enough. Because it is a bright red and because of the texture and creaminess of this, it would just be so messy to apply. Like if I put it into another container and then I tried to use my finger to apply it on my lips, it's going to be a recipe for disaster. It already usually is a recipe for disaster when I do that kind of thing with a lipstick, which I'll talk about that with the next product. So I just did not want to have to deal with this, and I called it finished. I'm glad that this is out of my collection. It is quite an old product. It has had a scent for as long as I remember, not a scent that I like very much. And this is probably the product that I'm most excited to have out of my collection out of this month's update. Usually I love NYX products, but this is probably my least favorite NYX products that I have ever tried. I like the shade on me actually, but everything else about it was not good. Speaking of other lip products that I depotted, do you remember my Revlon lip butters? There were two that I finished at the same time, and I decided to depot both of them into one container because it wasn't like I was using them for the shades. I was just using them to try to use them up, and I knew I wasn't going to be wearing these out of the house. Like with this red lipstick, I sometimes would wear it out of the house because I like the shade, but with these I never would because I really did not. Even though I like the texture of it, I find the Revlon lip butter is fairly creamy. I don't like the shades. Let me see if I can show you here. And what would happen with this, because it's in this container, is my nails are quite long right now. So I would like take one of my nails, remove some product from like the back of my nail, and then spread it on my lips. And it kind of got everywhere because of the creaminess of these. Another thing about this is that the whole container smells like what it originally was, which was the Body Shop Himalayan Charcoal Purifying Glow Mask, which is a very, very pungent scent. Not bad in the context of like intensive skincare. Like if you know the scent of charcoal or tea tree oil, it's something like that, like pretty strong. And it was just so intense putting it on my lips every time that if I already didn't like the product to begin with, it just made it that much worse. And so it was actually just yesterday while I was working on my video, which went live today, that I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. It almost like borderline gave me a headache. Like the scent was so strong, and it's really hard to control how much of this I get out because it's not like you're applying it like this, right? Like I was just taking my nail and trying to like spread it on in the right amount. So I was fed up. So last night I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to film my Empties videos today, so it would actually be great timing to get rid of it now. Sometimes that happens. Like if I'm borderline wanting to declutter a product, knowing that I have my Empties and decluttering video filming soon, that will just incentivize me to put it in the declutter pile that much sooner so that I can have it included in that update, because there's like I was not going to finish. So whether it was this update or the next update, I was like, you know what, it's time. I'm using this incentive and I'm saying goodbye to it. So I did my best. I used up quite a bit of it, but yeah, that's it. We are saying goodbye to this one. Panned this one, decluttered this one. Although technically I like fully panned the products. It's just that I decided to depot them, which even at the time I was like, should I be doing this? Is this going to go over well? Am I going to end up finishing it? And I didn't, but I tried. So that's got to count for something. Moisturizers. Surprise, surprise, that Inkyless moisturizer was not the only moisturizer that I finished up this time. This one I actually also finished just yesterday. This always happens. I always end up finishing products, like a bunch of them all around the same time. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. But this is the Youth to the People Superfood Air Whip Moisture Cream. This was just a sample that came as part of the Sephora birthday gift this year, which I got in June. I had never tried Youth to the People before, although I had, heard good things about it. And I was so pleasantly surprised by this moisturizer, especially because I was using it right after having finished this Inkyless one. And so like the comparison, it was just so drastic. Now, both of these are fairly high end. I got this at Sephora. Like I think this is on the lower end of Sephora brands. I don't remember how much the cost is, so I will put both of them here on the screen. But this was just like eons better. I liked it so much better than the Inkyless one. I even love like the container. This is definitely one that I'm going to be keeping because it is glass. It's great size for travel. This is one that I will be keeping to depot future products into, and maybe even to, put moisturizer or sunscreen in when I go on short trips. I actually brought this with me to my trip to Banff this past month because it's just such a great size. You don't need more than this for like a week of product, So I intend to use this in the future, and it does have a scent. It almost reminds me of like Pond's cold cream, if you've ever tried that, which I don't like. I don't like the scent of that, but a lighter version and a better version, a less like old smelling scent. Love this. I loved how thick and moisturizing it felt on my skin. It never felt like I was using too little or too much. It just always felt like the right amount no matter how much I use. So I haven't looked up the price of this. I would seriously consider purchasing it in future. Sephora birthday gifts and samples always do that to me. This is why I wish that they would do samples, because I actually feel like they would get so much more money out of me if they allowed samples, because I just get exposed to products that I wouldn't try otherwise. Like I have found a moisturizer that I really enjoy, my Ordinary one, and it's very inexpensive, so I'm gonna keep purchasing that. But if you get me to try a moisturizer that I like potentially even more, I could be convinced to spend a couple extra bucks on it. That's how I feel with skincare, with makeup. If I really like a product, I'm willing to spend the money on it, but I'm probably not going to buy it in the first place unless I am pretty sure that I am going to enjoy it, because it's just not going to be worth the cost to me if I don't enjoy it. Anyways, love this. Go get your Sephora birthday gift. Highly recommend. And then another one, this barely deserves talking about. This was actually my friend's, the Weleda Skin Food. I have heard of this before, and she had posted it on her buns page, and I saw it was like, oh, I've never tried that. Like, if you don't get any takers, like I'm happy to take it off your hands. Please declutter it to me. So I used it one night and I was like, this is a little weird. Like it smells a little weird. I'm not sure about it. And then I noticed that the texture was also a little bit strange, like kind of separated. I didn't know how it was supposed to smell, so I asked her and she was like, oh, I don't remember the texture being weird. Like, I haven't reached for it in a while, but I'm actually not sure when I got it. And so she like went back and checked her order. And I think she said it was from like 2020 or something. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not good anymore. I'm not going to be using that. Thanks so much. And she's like, I'm so sorry to have passed that on to you. I'm so glad that you took it rather than someone else on buns, because it did not even cross my mind that it would be expired. Yeah. So I feel like I did not get a fulsome experience of this. I know a lot of people love it, but I don't even know if it is cruelty free. But I hear Harry Potter. Is that you? Can you hear Harry Potter? Okay, I think it's over. That was just like the John Williams score. Like, anyways, that was weird. No, someone is definitely playing the Harry Potter score. Okay, anyways, is this worth trying? I mean, it felt super, super thick and moisturizing, almost like a little bit too much, more than my preference, so I don't know if I would give this another shot, but I felt like I should mention it because I did try it, and this is obviously leaving my collection, even though it didn't stay in there for very long. Okay, let's move on to the final makeup products in this roundup. We've got some good ones: cream, blush, and bronzer specifically. I went out there, my partner was blasting Harry Potter, and I was like, could you not hear me? I thought someone was playing it outside. No, he was just trying to get me to come investigate. Anyways, makeup. Okay, this one, I would categorize this as makeup. It's more of a makeup tool. This is an eyelash curler pad. You know, when you curl your eyelashes, there's that like little black or little white strip. That is really only good for, I want to say like 6 months or so, and then you sort of end up like cutting a line in it with the like eyelash curler blade type thing, you know what I mean? So hopefully you can tell, it's kind of hard to show. Yeah, anyways, after a while your lashes start curling worse, and so you need to get new ones, and so I went and repurchased some new ones of these. It was funny, actually. I had originally sent my partner out to get some because I got COVID and he was going to the shop anyways. So he like asked about the eyelash curler pads, and the woman was like, oh no, we don't have any in stock right now. Just buy a new eyelash curler. And I'm like, they didn't have any in stock that day. So the solution was to buy a new eyelash curler and just get rid of your old, perfectly good eyelash curler. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I was like, what? Anyways, if you didn't know that you got to replace your eyelash curler pads instead of buying new eyelash curlers, go get a new one, okay? I've had that eyelash curler probably for, it's not the only one I've ever had, but I've definitely had it since pre-COVID. I think I got it partway through undergrad, so it's probably been about 10 years at this point that I've had it, and I just replace these pads. You know, they're like $5 each when I need to. So yeah, it's always kind of satisfying to get rid of those. Next up, let's talk about a blush. So this is the Milk Cream Blush. This is one of those products that actually grew on me through frequent use, and by the end, now that I don't have any anymore, I miss it. Part of that is because the cream blush that I am now using, I don't like it nearly as much. I mean, it's actually a lipstick, it's not a cream blush, but the shade is just so intense. It's a bright red lipstick, and so it's so hard to use a sheer amount, whereas this, it was so easy because it's such a nice, I'm not going to be able to show you at all. Like, it's super, super sheer, and it's a really nice nude shade, which has made me realize that I think I just have that gap in my collection. I don't have a nude blush, and so it's a lot harder to layer the blush that I'm currently using with another powder blush on top, because it's just always going to be so vibrant and look like I'm wearing too much blush. Whereas with this, it was just impossible to use too much because it was such a sheer shade, but a really nice shade. So anyways, I missed this. I did depot it into this container, but I used that up super, super quickly because I just end up using so much of this because it is so sheer. So I finished it up very quick, and I do miss it. I don't like Milk blushes. Like, this was just not my favorite, the packaging and the scent and everything, but the shade of it, this has made me realize that I need a blush in this shade, so good to know. This is in the shade Work, so I'll have to look for comparisons. Let me know if you have some suggestions for one day when I do plan to purchase a new one. The next is this Illamasqua Cream Bronzer in the shade Outline. This also really grew on me. At first, I really did not like it, and now I miss having something like this in my collection. I do have one cream bronzer, but it's the e.l.f. one where you like dot it on your skin, you know, like the Charlotte Tilbury type highlight wand. And this was just easier to directly draw on and then blend out with a brush, and I just felt like that was easier. And then I ended up depotting the remaining product into a different container, and that turned out very badly. Let me show you. This is what it looks like. It's just like super chunky and thick, and there was just no way to apply this normally on my face. Like, the reason this worked was because you would just draw it directly on, whereas with this I was trying to use my brush and like get some product and then put it on my face, but it's like chunks, so it would show up on my face in chunks. Gave up on that pretty quickly, and so that is why I did not finish this product. But I did enjoy it. I won't be repurchasing it. I didn't love it enough to repurchase, but I'm glad that I got to try it because I have never had a cream stick bronzer. And again, this is a gap in my collection that one day I will fill when I feel like I need it. I'm still working through a lot of other products right now, but you know, keeping it in mind for potentially 2025. For now, we are on a makeup no buy. Okay, this is the Misc category. So I've got one perfume, one deodorant, one nail polish. I think perfume is most exciting. This is the Harajuku Lovers Love perfume. I believe this is my last one of these. Back in like undergrad, well, okay, it was in high school when I started collecting these, and then undergrad when my collection really grew to its peak. I probably had 8 of these. I had the 4 originals, which were the smaller size. This is the bigger one. I think this is 50. Oh no, this is only 30 mils. So was the other one's only 10. That's tiny. It's because like this does not have perfume in it, obviously. It's just the body of it. But anyways, I had the 4 originals, and then I had 2 of these larger ones and 2 of these smaller size ones which were not original. So I had a whole collection, I think, because I was really interested in them originally, and then I kept finding them places on sale, like Winners or whatever. So anyways, this was the final one. It's in the shade the scent Love. I actually loved most of these. I'm not really proud of it because Gwen Stefani is the one who created these. Obviously, cultural appropriation. I try to mention that every time I show these on camera, but I really, oh, it's like coming apart in my hands, like the pieces of it, the like paint is flaking off. Anyways, but I really did like the scent, and these were like the perfect scents, I think, for that age. And I still really enjoy them, but I think it is the nostalgia. Like, if I smelled this today for the first time, I don't know if it would evoke those same feelings in me and if it would be as much to my taste. These didn't last super long. Like, I would spray them quite generously in the morning and it just wouldn't last throughout the day because this is not like a super high-end perfume, but I did really love it, and I am a little bit sad that this is the last one and it is leaving my collection, but it was time. I'm in a different phase of my life right now, and it's time to say goodbye to the first perfumes that I ever owned. But does anyone remember these? Does anyone still have these? I would love to hear, because I've never seen anyone else show these on camera, at least for the last 10 years, I don't think. Yes. The next one is this nail polish. This is one that I'm decluttering rather than panning. I actually tried to use it this week and then realized it was completely dried up, so it was fun. I got my nails done, oh my god, it's almost a month ago now. So it really is time to remove them or change them. These are gels, like they are my natural nails, but it's quite a thick layer on top. And one of the nails, part of it broke, you can see here. And so rather than get rid of all of them, which I figured would be a pretty labor-intensive task, I decided to just like fill in that little gap with whichever nail polish in my collection was the closest to that shade. And so it was obviously this one, not too far off, but completely dried up. Look at the wand on this thing. And that's kind of sad because this is such a nice summery shade. There's obviously a lot of product left in there, but I just have so many nail polishes in my collection that are never going to be fully used up. Like, at least with makeup, if I'm comfortable using products past their expiration date, a lot of times I can get away with using them up, but with nail polish, they just dry up and there's no way to use it up unless you have acetone. But I kind of don't want to embark on that journey because I don't think it'll work for all of them. But people have suggested that before. But anyways, yeah, love this color. It was in Rose Among Thorns. We'll never get to use it again, so that's too bad. But it does still feel kind of good to get another nail polish out of my collection because I just don't. I'm never going to use them all, and I have too many. That is for sure. And I can't get rid of them through panning because I don't use nail polish as much as I use makeup. I mentioned deodorant, so I finished this deodorant. This is the Tom's one in Mountain Spring, and it smells good. I liked it. I haven't found a favorite holy grail type deodorant. I only purchase cruelty free. I don't need deodorants that are all natural. That's not my goal. But when I was shopping for a new one, I just thought this looked so cute, and I like the brand Hello. Now, I was not looking for a product that was aluminum free, and I didn't really notice that, so that is my bad. But yeah, I think it is the aluminum that makes you not smell, because this is just not nearly as effective as this one was for me. I'm not done this, but I just wanted to mention, in comparison, I didn't know how good I had it with this. It's not as cute as this little Hello one, but I would highly recommend this as a cruelty-free deodorant over this one. I will have to find a way to use it up, but yeah, this one is great. Would repurchase, not this one. And then just very quickly, toothpaste, this Burt's Bees one, it was good. And lastly of this random category is this little blush brush. This was in the Wet n Wild Mellow Wine blush that is currently part of my blush roulette for the month of August. I was just finding that whenever I would use the blush, this would fall out and into the sink, and I would be like, oh, now I have to wash this brush and I'm not even gonna use it. And then it occurred to me, why do I keep washing this brush? Why do I even keep it in my makeup collection if I'm never going to use it? So I decided to just throw this in my makeup declutters bag, and I don't think anyone would want it, but at the very least it might as well go in the garbage rather than causing me extra hassle. So those are all of the makeup, skincare, and random products, but now we can move on to hair care. And usually I don't have any hair care products to mention, but for whatever reason, I finished up a bunch of hair care this past month, so let's get into it. And it's not even just shampoos. So first was this shampoo. Now, I actually got this as part of a buns trade recently. I do not buy bottled shampoo anymore. I just buy the shampoo bars because they're more environmentally friendly. But as part of the buns trade, I was like, why not? I was really happy to get this because I actually really enjoy bottles of shampoos. They're a little bit easier than shampoo bars. I'm just not willing to buy them. This was a great way for me to try it out. This was a clarifying shampoo, which I don't think I've tried before. I just use regular shampoos. However, I didn't find that it was very soapy. You know what I mean? There's some shampoos that are have more soap and others don't, and when they don't suds up enough, it's really hard for me to tell if my hair is clean. So a time or two I would wash my hair, and then a few hours later I'd be like, this patch of hair still feels a little bit oily, but I washed my hair. And it's because you really have to go in, or maybe use it in combination with another shampoo to completely cleanse your hair. So I didn't love that, but yeah, by the end I was using this with another shampoo. I would double shampoo every time, and that worked better. It just doesn't really feel like it should be necessary. I wouldn't repurchase this, but again, I was glad to try a shampoo that I wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to. And then the final two products that I finished are the same but in different shades. These are the Garnier 5-Minute Color Mask products. This one I actually just finished a couple of days ago. I should probably put that cap on, and so I was trying to rinse them out. But these were actually great. So if you don't know, I have been tinting my hair red for just over a year now, which I have loved, and I purchased a bunch of products for that. And so I finished off the products, the actual hair tint, a few months ago, but I've had the remaining color conditioners that I've been slowly working through. I have one more. These were two of my final ones, and these were great. pretty inexpensive. I think these are about $15 to $20 Canadian, and they did really work. I mean, you can tell my hair still has a reddish tint to it, even though I haven't like dyed it or tinted it in months. So I am looking forward to either going to my natural hair color or going back to a lighter blonde like I was before. But it has been really fun to experiment with my hair color because I've always wanted to be a redhead, so I did always want to try that, and this has been a way to do it without actually like fully committing to like bleaching or dye in a more permanent way, and just sort of control how red I want my hair to be and how long I want that to last. So yeah, at some point my hair will not, it's not that red anymore, but you know, it is red-ish. So I've loved these. If you have lightish hair and you're thinking about trying some sort of color mask that's not permanent, I would recommend these. They have all shades. Like, you could do a darker shade. I have considered buying like a very, very dark brown just to see what my hair would look like dark, but that is probably for a different phase in my life. So highly recommend these, really enjoyed them. But that is it for today's video. Those are all of my makeup, skincare, hair care, body care, empties, and declutters from the past 2 months. This felt like a lot of stuff. I'm really happy with all of the makeup products and other that I have gotten out of my collection in the last little while. And I do these updates every 2 months, so you can look forward to my next video at the end of October. Very quickly, let's talk about what I've been reading lately. This is an audiobook called Much Ado About Nada by Uzma Jalaluddin. I actually read her previous book, which was called Aisha at Last, about 5 years ago, and I really enjoyed it. This one I wasn't specifically looking for, although I had heard it recommended. I was out of audiobooks. Honestly, I have a bunch on hold, but none of them had come in yet. I had gone through all of my podcasts, so I was just looking through the library, like stuff that is freely available to borrow. You don't need to put anything on hold. And this was one of them. I'd heard of it. I'd read another book by the author, so I was like, sure, a romance, it'll be fun, it'll be light. And it's actually a great time. I thought that it was loosely inspired by Much Ado About Nothing, like the Shakespeare play, but it turns out that it's based on Jane Austen's Persuasion, which is so funny because I'm literally about to read Persuasion. Like, I have the book here, and that was my goal. Every 2 years I read a different Jane Austen book that I haven't read before, so that was my 2024 goal. This is actually very much going to help that reading experience because now I'm going to be familiar with the characters and what's playing out, and you know, Austen's pretty old, so sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to understand the character relationship and what's going on. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. It is like a Toronto-based Muslim family inspired Jane Austen, so I'm having a great time. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you next week.